How do you make good decisions? How do you make good decisions? Just pick one. That seems to be the best way to start making them, but that's not something that fits long term. You need more clarity than that before you make decisions. But not too much clarity, because then you don't end up making any. This is where I'm finding myself right now. I'm struggling to figure out what decision I should make in terms of just the general future. What is it that would benefit me most? What is it I would like to do most? What is it that would fulfill me most? So many different questions. They help, but they also don't. Because when you can decide you can do anything, you don't pick anything, because you keep worrying about, if I pick this, I'm going to lose out on this. And if I pick that, I'm going to lose out on this. And if I do this, I'll lose out on that, and on and on. It makes me kind of think it was easier back in the day with decisions, because you could become like two different things. Keep being a farmer, or like see if you can become an apprentice in a different trade. And that was it. And they didn't know any better back then. So they wouldn't have been like, oh, so many decisions today. God, I wish I had that. They just would have had those two decisions, and it would have been easier, I think, to make it, because that's all you've got. It's honestly the Netflix problem, where you have so much stuff you can watch and you just don't pick anything, because I got to pick something I really enjoy. I got to pick something that's best for me. I got to pick something that won't waste my time. And by the time you've made your decision, you've already spent half a movie trying to figure out what you even want to watch. And it is a very first world problem to have, to be like, I can decide to do anything. I can be anything. I could just pick a career and just go, phew. So it's not a bad problem to have. But it's still a problem. And I'm feeling like the way that you solve a problem like that is you just stop thinking as much and start acting more. You ask yourself a question. I was speaking with someone recently and they gave me some insight on this. How do you help someone today? Or how do you provide value to someone today? And that is the thrust that you do your action with. And whatever the answer to that is, that's what you do. And you keep doing that and following that. And the idea of this is to sail yourself by an unseen wind to your destination. That works. Well, I don't know, actually. I'm trying to figure out if it does. But I feel like that general gist of it, where you're asking yourself a question that you just simply want to get clarity on. For me at the moment, it's how can I help people? This is part of that. How can I help people today? And following on that thread and just seeing where it goes. And that question could be anything for you. It could be, how do I maximize the amount of clients that I speak to this week? And that's just the question you follow. Or what is the most rewarding way I can connect with my family this week? And then you just follow whatever answers you get given. So for me in this moment, as I'm saying it out loud, I'm asking myself, what is the most rewarding way I can help people with this skill set of communication? And as I'm saying it out now, I think it's simply just doing this. This being in many flavors of a YouTube video, or a few days ago doing a podcast with a friend for their YouTube channel, or about to start a support job, that kind of stuff. Support in any aspect, personal, corporate. These questions about decisions are part of the decision process. I feel like having a good question that you want to make a decision on is literally half of it. Because if you don't have a good question, you can't give a good answer. Or if you're able to give a good answer to a bad question, you're still answering a bad question, which can only give you so much positive feedback. If you're asking yourself high quality, good questions, then that steers you more powerfully towards high quality, good answers. And those answers then will feed back into your question and give you more insight on that good question. So I guess the question is, what counts as a good question? And obviously, it's going to be whatever works for you. If you don't know what works for you, that's a good question to start with. What is it that works most for me in my life right now? And what does it feel like when I pursue it? That's a great way to get more clarity on what's a good question for you. I think questions are very underutilized when it comes to how we communicate in, at least in the Western world, where we really don't put enough emphasis on asking high quality questions, like really solid shit, right? Because that will give you a good answer most of the time. And from there, that's all you need, right? Your question, your answer, and then you can make a decision. I feel like the enactment of the decision isn't even that difficult, really. It's becoming resolute. It's becoming resolute about the decision that will be enacted. Dr. K is a spiritual psychologist and psychiatrist. He's on YouTube, Dr. K, very good. He's very holistic, and he said something profound the other day about making decisions and being decisive and having discipline, specifically in relation to ADHD and that kind of stuff. But this works for being neurotypical as well. Is that discipline is not created first to do your task, because you're like, I've got to get A, B, C, D done for my business, and I need discipline so I can do that. But you don't have discipline because you haven't done it yet. So you're caught in this catch-22. And what he talks about is discipline is an emotion. An emotion. And that emotion is being resolute in what it is that you are doing and what you have decided. Meditating on a feeling of times in your life when you've felt resolve, when you felt, this is what I'm doing, this is how it is, this will be done. Connecting to that feeling more and being resolute puts you in a mind-body state of being resolved, and from being resolved, you are disciplined and you take action. So, what are the takeaways from this? Number 1, meditate upon times you have been resolved. Could be when you were at work, within a relationship, just a hobby. Having a tough conversation when you knew it had to be had. Making a lifestyle change. Anything in which you felt a level of internal resolve, doesn't matter how big it is. Meditate upon that for like 5 minutes a day. Just feel into that resolution, that resolve. And the more you practice that, the more that becomes a fluent language for your mind and body to sit in. And from there, discipline, and from there, making decisions becomes easy. Second point is being in the habit of asking yourself high quality questions will give you high quality answers for you to then, from that state of being resolved, enact and exercise. And this is what I'll be doing for myself recently and in the future. So I probably will check in again in about a month after doing these two things myself and give a report. I think I'll be probably surprised at the results. That's all for now.